There's also days where it's tough, and today is one of those days. You know, Brian Callahan is, as you all know, is a man of high character. He's a good man. He's a good football coach. He's got a wonderful family, and Amy has entrusted me to make tough decisions in this organization. And working with Mike and I and meeting with her this morning and talking through all this, we just felt like this was the right time to make a change. Now, that doesn't change the fact that the things that we said in the preseason about, we were looking for growth in this football team. And that's what this is about right now, is we're not seeing enough growth from this football team. We're 1-5, and we got to be better in this. And I want to acknowledge the fact that we're all frustrated. We understand that you, the fan, you're frustrated with everything that's going on. But we're doing everything we can. We will do everything we can to build a football program that you can be proud of. So we do want to wish Brian Callahan and his family the very best. These things are tough because there's relationships involved. There's a human element to all this, so it doesn't make it easy. But we know at this time where we are as a football program, we needed to make a change because we got to start growing and getting better.
How does this fit in with?
Hold on. Mike's going to have a few things he wants to say.
I just really want to echo a lot of things Chad said. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Brian as a person and as a coach in this league. And, we said from the start, we're just looking for growth right now. We did not see that at this point. But he's an excellent, coach, person. And, I wish him the best moving forward. We also announced today that we're going to make Mike McCoy the interim head coach. What Mike brings right now is experience, leadership. He's done it before. I've had respect for Mike for a long time. He played in the same division we did in Kansas City for a long time. So we have full confidence in Mike that he's going to be able to steer the ship here.
How does this reconcile with your mantra of patience, not panic?
Yeah, I think, again, it's this change was needed because we weren't seeing the growth in this football team. That's what it goes back to. We talked about this all offseason. We know where we are as a football program right now. And, to this point in the season, we just weren't seeing the growth that we needed to see to get this program in the right direction. So that's why the change was made.
How much of it was the growth of the team and how much of it is the growth of Cam Ward?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of this as well. Obviously, we drafted Cam Ward first overall. We need to see him grow as a football player as well. So all that's a factor.
So was this Amy's decision, or did you guys make a recommendation as far as the change that you thought should be made?
There was a conversation with, obviously, Amy's involved in every conversation that we have. So we had that conversation with Amy this morning. We made that decision collectively.
What makes you guys think that coaches hired by Brian, who worked collectively under Brian's instruction with the same thinking, that things are going to change with Coach McCoy largely being the same people and the same philosophy?
Yeah, sometimes you have to change a little bit, and there will be changes that Mike will address. He will speak to you guys tomorrow. I don't know if he'll have all the changes and let you know on that, but there will be certain things that he does change. I'll let him address some of those questions that might come up. But sometimes you need a little bit of a change to get a spark. That's why the decision was made.
You're saying a little bit. If it's not going to, only so much you can do at this stage during the course of the season. Yes.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
What do you think in terms of responsibility for hiring Brian? I guess how much responsibility do you feel in that, and I guess maybe what lessons can be learned from this whole process?
Yeah, I think Brian was a first-time head coach. I talked about this in the off season, and we wanted to give him that opportunity to grow into the head coach we believe he could become. But unfortunately, it just has not worked out, and we haven't seen the growth with this football team to this point that warrant that to continue. So we need to make a tough decision. Like I said in the beginning, I'm put in a position to assess, evaluate the entire program. And there's nothing that's getting done in this organization without Mike and I talking about this, working together, talking to our owner. So that's why that decision was made.
I guess in hindsight, do you feel like was there anything that was overlooked in your opinion? Or?
Yeah, I think in any of these situations, you go back and you wonder what, did you miss something? Could you have done better here or there? That's part of what we do as evaluators, and part of being in this position that you're in is you're constantly evaluating not only what's going on around you, but also evaluating yourself. But I think, our process was right. I don't think the process was wrong or there was something wrong in that part of it. I just think that, Brian, we believed in Brian and wanted to give him that opportunity. And unfortunately, like I said, it just didn't work out.
With regards to the replacement, who is going to ultimately be the one to make that decision? I know you preach collaboration, but how is that process going to play out?
The collaboration you're talking about?
Right, as far as choosing who's going to be, not the interim, but the head coach, actually, not permanently, but going forward once the season's over. Yeah,
I think, like I said, Mike and I have been, a big part of all those conversations with Amy. I don't know if I'm understanding your question correctly, but
basically what I'm asking is it going to be your decision, Amy's decision? Whose decision is it going to be to hire the next head coach for this
I got you. Yeah, we're all going to work on that together. But Mike and I will lead if you're asking, as far as the search is concerned, Mike and I will lead that search. But right now, what our focus is right now is pouring everything we can into Mike McCoy and giving him every opportunity from here on out, starting this week. We got the Patriots coming to town. We got to do everything we can to help him, to support him the way he needs to be supported so we can go out there and win a football game. So that's really what our focus is right now. There's going to be plenty of time to talk about the next steps. But Mike McCoy is going to get every opportunity to prove. I mean, he's been a head coach in this league before, so we want to give him that opportunity.
Well, there's plenty of time now, but does Amy realize with the constant changeover here, the damage that's happened to the franchise in terms of the national perception and of what your ultimate candidates are going to think if they're given a choice between this job and another job where the owner doesn't make an annual change of a position in power?
Yeah, I think this is a very frustrating situation for everybody involved, including our owner. This job will be attractive. I have no doubt about that. But at the same time, I want to keep our focus right now on Mike McCoy leading this football team and focusing on the New England Patriots coming to town this Sunday. And like I said, we'll have plenty of time to talk about those things at a later time.
Where is she right now?
What do you mean?
Where's Amy Adams Strunk right now?
Yeah, she's at her home.
Why isn't she here?
I'm here representing her.
Can you guys move forward with the plan that you have, expecting her to have the patience that you've preached in this plan, given that she's just fired yet somebody else in a leadership role?
Yeah, like I said, that doesn't change. The plan's not changing as far as the patience and building this roster and all the things that go with that. Unfortunately, there's a change that needs to be made in this process where we're at right now because of the lack of growth that we've seen with this football team. Just to reiterate it again, I mean, we talked about that being a very important thing. We didn't talk about wins and losses. Of course, we want to win as many football games as we can possibly win, but we preached and talked about the growth, and we just have not seen the growth with the team to this point.
In terms of growth, you told us going into training camp that this roster was very much a work in progress. Without going into wins and losses, what does growth look like to you?
Yeah, I think, when you look at whether it's offense, defense, or special teams, there's some areas where we have grown. I think the special teams have played pretty well this season for the most part. Denard Wilson's done a good job, as far as the defense is concerned. We've struggled on offense. I mean, that's not a secret. and we need to be better there on that side of the ball. But I think there's growth opportunities all throughout the roster, whether offense, defense, or special teams. But we need to see more from our players, from our coaches, and we got to get better. There's a standard that we're trying to uphold here moving forward, and we're just not meeting that standard. I don't know if you want anything to add there, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, we all have to do a better job here, and we need to see continuous growth throughout the entire organization, really.
What's the, sorry.
Go ahead.
What's the status of the assistant coaches? Do you guys know which will be returning and which may not be?
Mike will address that tomorrow in his press conference.
Right now, obviously looking for some sort of a spark, but how will you judge that spark now between now and the end of the season? What do you hope this move leads to this year?
Yeah, I'd like to see our quarterback play be better. Like to see the offense, be consistent, more consistent, moving the football. I think I want to see improvement in the defense and offense. But again, we all know what it looks like when we see it. When you see that you're playing complementary football, that the offense and the defense and special teams are playing off of each other. We have yet to put together a complete game in a long time. So, there's a lot of work to do for everyone in this organization.
Why do you believe that this move will have that effect that you just talked about on the team?
Yeah, I think there'll be some changes that Mike puts into place, working with Cam, that we discussed today. Whether there's changes at practice, changes we do within the scheme, things to make him feel a bit more comfortable, all those things. Any opportunity we have to try to change things to help him in the offense, Mike's going to be open to that.
You've been involved in three of these decisions at this point, three of these kind of decisions at this point. Why should fans trust you to be able to get this right based on the plan, since the plan hasn't gone right now 3 different times?
Yeah, I've been entrusted to do this job, and that's all I can say is we're going to work to get this right. Both Mike and I come from places where we've won a lot of football games. We got a front office that I think between all of us, we got 9 Super Bowls. We've seen what winning football looks like, and we know what that looks like. So we're going to do everything we can to support the staff currently. Our players. It's still early in the season, and there's a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of football to play. So I think we're just as frustrated as our fans are. And like I said in the opening statement, we're going to get this right. And we're going to build a football program that everyone can be proud of. And we're acknowledging right now it hasn't been good enough. And that's why we're up here answering these questions, because we haven't been good enough, and we're committed to getting better.
Why this particular week, either you guys can answer this, why this particular game, this particular week, there hadn't been growth for a while? Some people thought it might come after Houston was a pretty poor performance. Why this point right now?
I think it was just continuous, frustration of, getting things going. And that's why, we decided to make the move right now.
Chad, how much did you consider this kind of change after last season? And how much of this, too, when you choose to retain him, had to do with the fact that the roster wasn't as strong as you would have liked to compete?
Yeah, I think a lot of those things were, addressed in January. I mean, we know where we are as a football program. We knew the situation that Brian was, having to handle here. But we felt we had the confidence that he would, help get this program moving in the right direction. And now here we are where it's not. So therefore, we felt like we needed to make the change now. But that doesn't take away from what we're trying to build long term.
Chad, what do you think makes Mike uniquely capable to help get Cam on the right track?
I think that's a better question for Mike here. Go ahead.
Mike has a lot of experience in the league. Has been a head coach. He's a former quarterback that's played. He had some years in the NFL as a player. has been around NFL quarterbacks. Phillip Rivers, Peyton Manning's. He's with Trevor Lawrence last year, a young guy that is, getting acclimated from some of the college offenses. So he has a lot of experience doing it, and I've always had a lot of respect for Mike.
Who initiated the meeting this morning between the two of you and Amy Adams-Strunk?
We meet after every game. There's not like a initiation. I mean, you're always communicating with your owner, I think, and across any organization. There's always those meetings taking place on Monday, so this was no different.
You guys touted, when he was hired, McCoy was touted as a great selection by Brian. He didn't have great success in San Diego record-wise with a quarterback that was, Hall of Fame caliber guy. And again, he was Brian's teacher / mentor at the beginning of his career, and Brian just got fired for not having enough success. Help us connect the dots as to how Mike is a solution based on his own failures and the failures of his protege.
We all have our hand in this right now, so it's not, I think Mike has experience. I know he was with Brian before, and they have a past. But sometimes you need to change, and I think Mike will do some things differently, and we're confident in Mike.
Bill had experience. Bill didn't do anything here in a season in 6 games. I mean, is experience automatically the solution to everything?
No. I mean, I've been around Mike now for a few months. I've got to know him a little bit better, but that's certainly not everything. Everybody has different ways of doing things. I would say that, even though they were in the same place at one time. They have different coaching styles, different ways. So, I think change sometimes is good for everybody.
In your time of being, you had mentioned you've been around Mike for some time now, McCoy that is. In your time being with him, did you learn anything new, any revelations? Okay, I see why he's capable of taking on his job.
I think that in the role Mike has now, he communicated with a lot of different players, a lot of different, staff members. And his communication skills are really good. He's got a lot of energy. And I think he'll bring some good ideas.
Yeah, did you guys see or hear the comments, I guess, Jeffrey and Cam made yesterday after the game, talking about the worst practice week of the season and flat and so forth? And if you did, does that affect what you thought of the coaching staff? Should that reflect on the coaching staff?
I did not hear those comments, but listen, not every practice is perfect, okay? And I've been on teams that have had really bad practices and gone out and dominated the game. Not every team is going to have a perfect practice every day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.